Hey everybody, Jess Intuitive Angel Healer here with your Grounded. Thank you so much for joining our podcast today and welcome to another episode of Dancing in the Toxic Shadows, finding empowerment and hope through the toxicity. This is a podcast that features an empowered soul swim through the toxic waters of life and how they have found the courage, strength, and blind faith used to obtain the life that they truly want to live, and how they encourage others how to take that same leap of faith, no matter if they can only see the first two steps or not. Today we are in our season 2, and I'm shaking it up a little bit. Today I am introducing my new co-host of the Toxic Shadows, Miss Keisha Brown. Hi, Keisha.
Hi.
And she is going to be my co-host, and she's a creative writer. She's also a poet and a spoken word mentor. And so she'll tell a little bit about herself, but we have an awesome show going on for you today. And today we're going to talk all about body image. And I think it's fun to have two people, to kind of chat about this, because something about the toxic shadows is that everybody goes through them. So it's nice to have two different opinions, two different women to discuss these super huge issues that we're going to be chatting about. But I'd like you to introduce yourself, Keisha. If you can just tell everyone how old you are, where you're from, and just a little small snippet about your blog and your new creative writing blog that you're doing.
Hi, my name is Keisha. I am 44 years old. I'm originally from Virginia. By way of everywhere, I moved everywhere. And in my moving, I've learned that writing is my gift, I would say. I use that as a lot of ways to just get through life struggles and try to help people have positive work. We don't have enough of that in the world.
I agree. So Keisha this is going to be a fun show for us today. Today, we're going to talk about body image today. And this is something that's so affecting probably almost 100, if not 90 to 100% of my audience. I know that. I've struggled with body image myself. And over the years, I've learned that it's not just something that body image dysmorphia is not just something that will just ruin, it can ruin your relationships. It actually affects your relationships to the point that you can crumble them. Here's a couple of facts that I found. Body dysmorphic disorder affects about 1 in 50 people in the United States, and an estimated 5 to 10 million people have this condition. And body dysmorphia isn't just anorexia or bulimia, because everybody knows that one. But it goes with your face, your nose, your blemishes, acne, your hair, your appearance, people who are thinning, and women bald too, muscle tone, breast size, skin and vein appearance, genitalia, and a preoccupation with your body build being too small or not muscular enough. And men actually go through this, and it's called muscle dysmorphia. So that's crazy that 1 in 50 people, that's crazy that affects that many people. And I've understood that that's why we have the toxic shadows, because if you think about it, all these people are going out of their mind thinking they're not good enough, sitting, pinching, looking, saying this ain't good enough, that ain't good enough, I need this, I need skinnier, fatter, whatever it is. And then we start going into these other, unhealthy patterns. But I wanted to, before I hand it over to you to talk about this a little bit, I wanted to let you guys know what is body disorder, because I try not to use huge words because I don't like them to fly over. If I do use them, I'm always going to tell you guys what they mean. Body dysmorphic or disorder is a mental health disorder, and it's where you can't stop thinking about your flaws or your perceived defects of your appearance. And then you feel so embarrassed about it that you don't even go seek help from the doctor. And what's really sad about this is that the shame and embarrassment not only keeps you away, but it also if it gets left untreated, it can lead to anxiety, extensive medical issues, depression, and even suicidal thoughts. And so, like, this is something that people don't really, I know that we touch on it, but when I look at the media, you got all these girls running around and now this is the fun part of it, because if you look at those girls that are running around in the cute bathing suits and all that in the media, they don't they got a cute body, but if you know all the stuff that they did to take away that, I wish they could airbrush my flaws out. That would be fantastic. What are your thoughts a little bit on this?
I think everybody have some form of it one way or another, whether we realize it, we do or not. I know back in the 80s, you had to be a size 0, a size 4. You had to almost be pencil thick thin to be accepted. Now you have to have the J-Lo boot. You have to have the right size or the right measurement. And people are spending lots of money trying to look perfect, but they're trying to cover the outside versus covering the inside. We all have, even me, is getting up in the morning like, what shirt am I? What makes me look so? What makes me look more Baltimore big or whatever? And we all have some form of body image. Even stemming back to kids, when your parents tell you, what kind of outfit should you put on? No, do that make you look too big or that make you look too thin? We just have to watch again our words and how we put them out there.
And when speaking about the 80s, it's funny because in the 70s, I don't know if you remember a model named Twiggy. She came out, and then that a whole anorexia thing went off. And so the women in the 70s, it's so funny to watch the trends, because it used to be skinny and like a rail, and then then it's changed into more voluptuous. And now that they're understanding, hey, you guys are literally sending our little girls into because they're trying to strive for the perfect body, they're having bulimia and this. Now that I see they're trying to push it for girls that are bigger, that are beautiful. And I just think it's so funny because the media's got it all wrong. All girls are beautiful, and there should not be one size that we need to be. And I don't know, the media drives me crazy with the way that they're always trying to push some kind of agenda on girls. But if you notice, we're teaching our girls this level of perfection that we're never going to be able to get unless you go airbrush everything and all your perfections off. And then that kind of goes into, you get the shame and embarrassment as a kid. And this is one thing I wanted to bring this up, because I've went through a lot body image issues when I was younger. I don't know why, but my family wanted to and families are well-meaning, but when I would eat stuff like I ate a bagel when I was young, and I was short, and because I was like 12 and I hadn't hit my growth spurt yet, so I was short, and I was a fat little short kid, and everybody was so worried about me getting fat. So like they would say stuff like, hey, I wouldn't eat that if I were you, or forever, a minute on the lips, forever on the hips. And I'm like, thanks. And that put it in my head. So by telling me that, when I got older, I found that I shamefully, it's weird, when I go to eat, sometimes I don't want to eat in front of people because I feel like everybody's staring at my plate. And then what's weird is I went through that, like I was everybody was afraid I was going to get fat. And then when I hit 14 and I had to move out, and I lived with this in undesirable circumstances, and I had no food. And then I found out, holy crap, I found what it is to be hungry. I've never been hungry in my life until I moved out. And then, so adding both of those together, now I got the lack of food, and then I got issues about eating food. So go to my adult years, and now I have issues about eating food. But then I'm at some point, when you're hungry, you'll eat whatever, and then the shame comes in there, because you're like, man, what are your thoughts on that?
That is so very true. But coming from a predominantly African American family, soul food table is spread from A to Z, from everything, every no good food, but tasting good food for you. I grew up where you ate, and I was a kid. I was very skinny, very picky in what I ate. So I came from the family where you didn't eat enough. You're too skinny. So as I got older, and I noticed you still had that same spread of food, but you want people to eat, but yet you talk about them when they're eating more than what you think they would like. So it's like a catch-22 type of vibe that's there. So I think a person sometimes just got to check themselves as far, like, I know when life hits the fan, I don't get an appetite. I don't. And some people are totally opposite. So I think we just have to kind of check and just see, okay, what did that food bring to me that I feel like I need it or don't need it, or vice versa. But I've been in both sides where predominantly we had to eat. It was a big thing, especially in the African American community. You didn't know where your next meal was coming from, so you had to eat it. If you were a little bit on the thicker side, you were considered healthy. Healthy. And nobody asked were you healthy mentally, or what was going on, or what you feel like. Is like, if they saw you sitting there eating two big keepings of food, oh, you must be okay. That's just the way life was.
So crazy that that's how kind of Italian families are. They feed you. In Texas family, that's where I came from.
Oh yeah.
You ate. Boy, if you don't eat, like, you're gonna eat until you're like, I can't eat no more.
Yeah.
And that's the mentality I came out of. So I never really grew up without food. And that's what's been so weird, that I go back and forth on my story in my head, and I'm like, because I also got shamed, when you're growing up. Well, I grew up in Albuquerque, and everybody's like, you didn't live a tough enough life. And I'm like, how did I not live a tough enough life? I didn't. There was times that I didn't have food for a week. Who doesn't eat for a week? That's supposed to be the starving people in other countries, in third world countries, right? And one back in the 90s, I remember when the 49-cent cheeseburgers came out.
I remember.
And literally, because this was when I was I was only 17, so I was trying to make it in life at this point. And I remembered I ordered like 30 or something cheeseburgers, and I lived on them for like 3 days. And I now don't eat cheeseburgers anymore. Well, I'm vegetarian anyways, but because of that, like, you won't really, I'll kind of have that memory of, oh, I don't ever want one of those again. If I, kind of like how people have a bologna. Don't give me bologna. I'll kind of look at it and be like, oh God, because it's the struggle, struggle food of America. We've all had some of that. But I want to, these are topics that people don't think are that big of a deal. Like you said, if you're eating, then you must be okay. But what people don't understand is that, like, some people eat for stress, and then that makes you obese. And I've seen, I wrote a dissertation about this a long time ago, about the obesity rate in America and in kids. And I was looking it up, and they say 36 5% of adults in America are obese, and 32.5% are overweight. And 1 in 6 children in the United States are obese. And so 2/3 of adults in the United States are overweight and obese. And what's crazy is I've been studying the food trends, like kind of where, because, we used to have real food. And I'm slowly starting to figure out the obesity, because I was like, why did we get so big in the 80s? Like, that's when the pandemic started hitting for the obesity rate. And it's because they messed with our food so much. And I found out that the food pyramid needed to actually be turned upside down. And most people still don't know that. And they changed it. And I didn't even know they changed it. It had already been changed for 2 years. And I was like, what is this? And I found out that we're eating so much grains, and the food that they're making isn't real food anymore. Half the time I found our French fries aren't even real French fries. And the oil and the coating on your French fries at fast food is addictive, and it hits those receptors in your brain, that the same receptors that Coke or heroin, the drug, would hit and give you that euphoric feeling. So it's crazy if people are like, why am I feeding my kid this? Why can I not stop? Well, because they put a little additive in there to addict you, to keep you come back. That's kind of like junk food. And what I found out is in our stomachs, there's these little tickers that says, hey, you're full. But when you're eating like any kind of junk food, or, not real food, chips or something, it doesn't hit those tickers. So therefore you can eat a whole bag of chips and not feel full, because it never told you, hey, I'm full. Like if you have an apple, it will actually tell you, hey, I'm full. But that's why people consume so much, and then you blow up. And then, then we got this crisis of, because I found out the other day the lunch meat has so much carcinogens in it. And I was like, but what do you do if that's all you can feed your kid? And that's, at one point, that's all I could. I could only go and get some lunch meat and some bread, and fruit and stuff. But how do you feel when you're packing up that sandwich? You're like, here, you want a cigarette with that? Because I might as well be giving you. It's just crazy. What are your thoughts on the food world?
I totally agree. I remember us having a discussion not that long ago pertaining to food. I think for me as a kid, all I wanted was McDonald's, burgers, pizza. I could live on it. I didn't want nothing green or vegetables. I think now as I got older, and I think as you get older and you realize that you care about what you put in you, you eat better. Now, of course, every now and then I want a McDonald's fry, but I also know I'm like, okay, this is really feeding no purpose as far as health wise. And I try to get the organic foods and the foods that are healthy for me. But what makes it so sad and so bad, the average person are not available the healthy food that would be good for them. People do better when they are provided. You have society that's telling you to eat, that you have to look a certain way, but don't provide the resources to help you. Everything starts mentally. If I mentally feel good, so I'm gonna mentally put something that's good for me into me. So you have to take baby steps. A lot of people can't afford healthy food. If you do nothing but eat one healthy meal a day, see how that changes your system and the way you think. If you think, if I've noticed, this is for myself, if I eat too much bad food during the week, it kind of changes your mood. People don't realize the chemicals that you put into cows and chicken are also the same chemicals that is going into your body. So it's also maybe a mental and a medical thing, or why you can't lose the extra 100 pounds that you've been trying to lose since New Year's Eve resolution, because it may be mental, but it might be medical as well. And that goes into society do not pay attention to people that want to eat well because it's profitable to be overweight. it's profitable to have health problems. Because if you take care of yourself and you're eating right, your medical goes down. You don't need to go to the doctor as much. You're not taking the prescription that you need. You're feeling good. You're taking care. You're mentally clear because you don't have all the chemicals running around in your system. They're not meant for human body consumption. That's what they gave Wilbur out there in the farm, and they gave moo cow. But all that takes to play, and me and her has discussed many times, society doesn't take care of you like you would take care of you.
Exactly. And I actually, that's one reason why I fully became a vegetarian. I still eat eggs and cheese. That's why I'm not a vegan, I guess. I've noticed, and it wasn't, I could have been vegetarian my whole life, really, be honest. I've liked meat. I like the taste of it, but it's not something like I'm the person you take to a steakhouse who orders chicken because yeah, I'm ridiculous. So I've noticed ever since I started stopped eating meat particularly, because here's a fun little fact. Your milk, and I slowed down my milk consumption. Like I drink very little milk because I tried the oat milk, but it's something to be acquired. I'm still working towards it. And I really don't drink too much milk unless it's with my cereal, really, to be honest. So like the milk that I do consume is like this much compared to what it was. But what I found out, see, I have a pituitary tumor, and a lot of women don't realize this. We walk around thinking we're crazy. Guess what? You're not. There is so much hormones being put into your animals and antibiotics because they're sick. So when we go and consume this, why do you think girls are starting to develop at 12 years old or 8? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, holy cow. When did, I looked like a little goober back in the day when I was 12. I did not look like these girls. I was like, gosh, you guys look like you're going to prom already. Like, I don't understand, but I do understand now that I'm understanding. We're people, soy. If you drink too much soy, guess what? That has estrogen in it. Now you've put estrogen in your body and all these chemicals. So it starts messing with your already chemicals. And that's why when a lot of people are starting to go vegetarian, because they're starting to understand, hey, for me, I just noticed my skin feels better. And a fun little thing that I've learned is it is hard to start going healthy at first, because it's overwhelming. And don't tell yourself you're going on a diet. That's the most important thing, because diet is a 4-letter word in anybody's book. So how I was successful at it is I told myself I'm going to make a lifestyle change. I am going to decide, kind of like I decide I don't want to drink. I'm going to decide I don't want to eat meat. And when I did that, I started out slow, and actually I find myself, it's funny, I find myself eating more of a lot of beans and rice, which is weird. I thought I would eat all this other stuff, but I find out that's what I eat a lot of. And avocados. Avocados are good for depression. If you can eat at least one avocado a day, there's it actually has a chemical in it that helps your serotonin and helps relieve depression. So if you guys have depression out there, I know people don't like avocados, but if you can find different ways to, you don't have to just eat them where they're all slimy and mushy, because people have texture things. So if you can find ways to incorporate that, or really dark berries. If you look at really dark greens or really dark berries, those are the two best things, and you can make yourself a smoothie. But start out slow, and I'm telling you, you'll feel amazing. And it's really sad. Our junk food and our food is almost like a drug. So if you guys out there feel bad about yourself, I remember at one time I was going when I was like 19, and I was going through a really bad depression. I was on the road, and I was manager, and I felt all alone, and everybody was just kind of being awful to me. And I found myself, I thought I was like, oh no, I'm the bulimic girl, because I was doing a sales crew dropping people off, and I found myself eating my feelings. And how many of us have ate our feelings? Don't do that. I found myself at my highest weight of 190 pounds, and that's way too big for me. And so, try not to use food to go and help you, because it won't help you in that way. But if you can learn it's not your fault, and it's bringing awareness. And I always tell people, hey, if you have something going on, give yourself a break first and then start looking at it. Is this your fault? Can you control it? So if you live in a bad area and you don't have access to healthy food, well, some healthy food is better than no healthy food. So you can start. And if you can affirm, because this is a lot of people say, I'm too broke, I'm this, but I'm learning in this whole spiritual awakening, stop. This is the daughter, this is the advice I give my daughter. If you say you can't, you already got your answer. So don't affirm, I can't, I don't have, because you will never have, I promise you. But if you say, you know what, I love me, I'm going to do this for me, and I'm going to start putting better stuff, and I'm going to start gradually breaking away from this because I can do it. And my angels, your angels, guys, guess what? Society's the one telling you, you guys don't have access and they won't make it. But if you work with your angels, and that's what I do because I'm a spiritual grounding coach, I teach people how to work with the law of attraction. And law of attraction is just the divine flow. Don't go against the mechanics of the machine. Go with it and stop telling yourself that you don't deserve it or you can't have, because that's why you don't have it. And I'm making that a very big point right now because this is how every conversation starts out. I can't do that. Wish I could be like you. I wish I could. Well, you can, but it starts with you, and it starts with bringing it into your awareness and giving yourself a break and allowing yourself to receive, and miracles will pop up. Because you don't think, if you want to start eating right, you don't think the angels are going to start making opportunities. When I'll tell you a real quick story before I hear your viewpoint, but when I was 17 and I was in this toxic first, because I moved out when I was 14 and I was with this toxic person for 4 years. And that was the time I was eating those burgers and I was so hungry, but my pride got in the way of me asking for help because I've always been like that. And actually I didn't start dropping my pride until I had my kid. And it didn't matter anymore because I was like, you know what, this little girl needs to eat. So don't matter. You better go up there and you better go find her food, because you learn things when you have kids. Your pride don't matter. And that's why I tell everyone I have this on my arm. It says shameless, because I say I have no shame. And I got that when I was going through my divorce, because I had all my stuff and I literally got all my stuff taken away from me, all my broken stuff. Here, you can have that, but you can't have all the stuff you worked 10 years of your life for. So I learned a little shame in it, but I've learned to go and ask. And so my angels popped up that day, and this lady that I knew, she was a YMCA counselor. She popped up on the phone and said, "Hey, Jesse, are you got food?" And yeah, I got food. What are you talking about? I don't need nothing. She's like, "No, seriously, do you have food?" And I was like, "No." "Do you want food?" I just had a food drive and we have like 3 boxes of overfill. And literally that food was so much food that it lasted me for a year. I was living on canned food for a year, but I didn't care. But that's what I'm the magic of the angels. That's why I like to always share my angel stories with people, because if you live in the normal society of the toxic shadows, if you live by normal society standards, guess what? You will slowly dance into the toxic shadows. I promise, because society has been made that way. If you're not the best of the best or the richest, guess what? They don't give you a chance. It's like, figure it out for yourself. But if you learn to live in your own world and the world of creation, I've learned that societal rules don't apply in my life, and my angels will never have me sitting there. I've never truly struggled like I should have at that moment, and boom, something came through and made it right. What are your thoughts?
I
Thoughts?
I definitely can relate to that. I look back now at different things I went through in life, and some things were definitely hard. I call it, like you say, angels. I didn't go as hard as I could have gone because somehow, universe, angels, whatever, somebody will always put in my path, whether I needed a bill paid, whether I needed food, whether I needed something at that time. And again, I can relate to the pride thing. I won't ask, but becoming a mother, you will put your pride aside for your kid big time. Um, I'm sure a lot of mothers can relate to that. But I remember, and I've always said there's angels following me, and there's also walking around angels. I remember several different incidents in my life where I'll just say purely angels by the grace of whatever you call it just came and helped me just get through, just to make it through. Not take away the whole situation because I feel like that situation serves as a lesson, but just to get me through. And I think that's just like the most powerful and most true statement anybody. That's definitely true.
That's what I always tell people too, when I talk to people who have been through stuff is that, yeah, we all have our karmic lessons, but the angels, because this is where for many years, I thought the universe hated me and I thought God hated me. I was like, I'm just God's disappointment. Like, did you just bring me out here? And I know a lot of people can relate with the statement, because we feel so unloved out there. But I'm learning that I came here because apparently I believe in past lives, and apparently my lessons didn't have enough courage to stand up to my lessons. So guess what? Your lessons get harder, kind of like every video game stage. Each Mario Brothers stage was harder, and then when you get to King Koopa and you got you got to take him out and save the princess, it's really hard. So don't run away from things because they won't go away. And if you're having body image issues, talk to someone. Talk to me, reach out to Miss Keisha, reach out to me, or you need to talk to someone about this, because our brains play this little video in there that's not always true. And if your ego um is on hyperdrive because you're in a panic situation, it's just going to get worse. So I've learned, if we, so much society doesn't want to talk about it. It's never the time to talk about it. And I've noticed in the past couple of years, I'm like, that's great. We're still going to talk about it. And if you don't want to talk about it right now, guess what? You lost your chance, because I'm talking about it. I'm pulling it out. If you don't want to talk about it, then that's your choice. But I'm not revisiting this. And I've learned people will start talking about stuff if they really know that, hey, this is really, I'm not just saying this, because people are like, yeah, right. I could come back because I'm a Pisces and I'm an empath. So people are like, yeah, right. Pisces never stop trying. But with this spiritual awakening, I'm learning how to say no. Sorry, that's not going to work in my world. And speak your truth, because that is another reason, if you guys want to know why we have issues with our weight, it's called cortisol, it's called stress. All that stuff you're stuffing down in there, where is it going? It's like a bathtub. If you back up your bathtub with too much hair, it's going to start backing up on you and it's not going to drain. So if you need to cry, if you need to let it out, go dance, sing. I want to give you guys freedom to let it out, because you know what, you don't have to be ashamed. There's somebody for everyone, and we all came in these little skin suits with all different looks for a different reason, because if we all look the same, we'd be boring. And I feel like this is part of our little gift. And if you don't feel comfortable in your own skin, it's 9 times out of 10 because somebody else made you feel uncomfortable. Because I look back and I'm like, you know what? I'm not that bad looking. And if all the people that told me I was horrible and I was this and that, let me just think, what did I not do for you? Because that's probably what it is that I put a boundary up. I decided to self-love myself. So when you guys have people say you're stupid or you're ugly or you're annoying or you're needy or all the fun little words that people love to tell you that you are, no, I'm human and I needed a friend, and obviously I don't need you as a friend though. And I've learned, so if people are telling you, hey, I don't want to hear about it, I don't want to talk about it, cool. I don't want to talk to you either, and hit me up later or never again because I don't care. And that's just, I'm very blunt about that because I've given so many chances over. I give everyone a chance, and with what your chance you do with it. But I've learned if we stop accepting such judgmental people into our life, like what does your criticism and judgment really truly do for me at the end of the day? Because I can always listen to your advice and what you tell me, but at the end of the day, I have to live my life in the way that I live it. I can't live it the way Keisha lives it, or it's probably not going to work right because we all have our path journeys.
Exactly.
It is crazy. So do you have any follow-up thoughts?
Another thing is, I would say that a lot of people can't voice. That's why I use writing as a creative tool. One little tool I've learned is, especially when I'm stressed, write the first word that comes to your mind. Put it on a piece of paper. Whatever you're dealing with, write the first word that comes to your mind about that situation or thing that's stressing. Put it on a piece of paper and just kind of get it out of you, and just focus on that word. And every day, put another word that goes with that word. And as you realize by the end of the week, everything that you were stressing about, everything that was built up in your system, you kind of let it out and put it on that piece of paper. And it kind of another tool to bring your feelings and your thoughts and everything that's kind of stressing you out. And people don't realize when you put something out of you, out of your mind, out of your spirit, out of your soul, whether it be on paper, out in the universe, out in your mouth, it's going into the universe. So if you try to get all that negative out, then eventually the positive will start. You got to make room for the good stuff, and you can't make room for the good stuff if you're so full of bad words. So you got to get the bad words out and get the new words in.
That leads me to my last topic of this is because, having body images, all this stuff, if you have all this, you're eventually going to end up being in a relationship. And it's not even just a romantic relationship. Your relation, when you have body dysmorphia, your relationships, all of them around the board, family, friends, coworkers, anybody, it ends up leading to these kind of relationships. You're going to end up forming trauma bonded relationships and toxic relationships because like attracts like. So if you're in this constant state of, man, I'm not good enough, guess what? You're going to attract a lot of other people that think the same way. So if you wonder, why do I get all these crazy people around me? Well, your energy is attracting the gremlins. And once I learned that, I'm like, I'm going to start being happy. Like in the middle, sometimes of me being sad, I'm like, shake it off, because I know once I start getting happy, the gremlins start falling off because they can't make it up past a certain vibration. But if you allow yourself to sit down here with them, guess who the gargoyles are that are going to come sit on your head and laugh because they're making you sad. But I want to, codependency is a big thing that ends up. So if you don't get this right, and then you go meet someone, that's how you end up being in your narcissistic relationships, the ones that they gaslight you, which is changing your reality of, like telling everyone they don't like you, and they start singling you out and keeping you away from people, because that's how they get control of you, by the way. Codependency. And so there's another word, everyone hears it, but do they really know what codependency means? So codependency is an excessive emotional or psychological reliance on a partner, typically one who requires support on account of an illness or addiction. A lot of times codependency happens when people have addictions like drug addictions or alcoholics. But if you have low self-esteem, uh, you're constantly looking for validation. So you're going to attract all the narcissists of the world because they love they smell vulnerability. It's like, vulnerability in the morning. And I'm serious. Like, if you're wondering, how do I keep attracting these guys? Well, your vibration needs to go up, because when you're walking around beating yourself up all the time, that's what happens. This is like so serious that, that affects your life. So you're not able to, that's why you feel, I've met people that are just like, I'm unloved, and it's because the person that they're with is just feeding them negative. And if you just wonder if somebody, their family, friends are toxic, their person's toxic, I know why the suicide rate is high. I know why the mental health, the anxiety, depression rate is high, is because nobody's really paying, like, they're paying attention to it. But I don't feel like we have enough support for this, because they have things for, abused women and stuff out there. But I don't feel, if you're not like getting beat up, it's almost like they don't validate the mental abuse, because people don't understand. When you start looking at it, they don't know they're going through mental abuse, because when you're the victim and you're going through it. But that's even worse. Sometimes I would have rather get hit, really honestly, than have all this words that people have put into my brain. What would be your thoughts on this?
Too many experience to name on that one. That's such a broad topic. A lot of people think codependency is automatically a romantic involvement. It could be your mom, your dad, your kid. I think anybody that don't promote the good in you or see good in you, that can't tell you the truth. I've always, especially as I've gotten older, I don't want nobody taking anything for me. If I wake up in the morning and I look a mess, I want that person to tell me I look a mess. I don't want nobody sugarcoating, because I would like to feel like you care enough about me to tell the truth about whatever situation I'm in or about me. And a lot of people don't understand codependency doesn't always relate to drugs and alcohol. It can relate to whatever you're missing, whatever you think you're lacking in your life. You will find that thing that might not be what you need. You think you need it, but most of the time the universe or whatever, your angels will tell you little key hints. I've always told people, listen to the whisper before it becomes a shout in a storm. But throughout your life, you're gonna always have that little angel. It's showed it in the movies, but it's actually real life. They're actually sitting on your shoulder telling you before you even get in that relationship, but after the butterflies are over, whether it be your mom or whatever, if you get that feeling when you go to your parents' house that your stomach churns, that's a sign. Or if you evolve with people in your life that doesn't make you feel good from the inside out, that's also a sign. If you got persons who know you have high blood pressure and all these bad health problems, but still offering you a Big Mac, that's not a person that cares about you. You need a person that gently and lovingly said, hey, let's go walking around the park today. Let's go try this new health restaurant I've been wanting to try. That person is lovingly telling you in a kind way, I love you, and we're gonna do this together. A lot of people want to help each other, but they don't actually want to take the steps and be human, decent people. People just want to tell you, but a lot of time I've noticed people will tell you, but it's a reflection back at them as well. A lot of people can tell it, but they can't do it. And being the blunt person that I am, I like people telling me about me, because it tells me that you care enough about me. That you don't know how I may react. You don't know if I may get mad or get upset, but the fact that you tell me enough to risk my attitude, to tell me that, hey, sis, I don't feel like you're doing the right thing. I feel like something's going on, but if you don't want to talk about it, I'm here for you. I see you ate a whole half a pizza today, something going on. Nobody, I mean, most times, some people, it is a lot more complex than, okay, let me just sit down here and have a whole big pizza for dinner today. If a lot of people, if they're eating by themselves, that's a sign. If they're eating after an argument, that's a sign. There's so many different facets of why people emotionally eat, why we codependent, all that is interchangeable.
End up to these toxic relationships that create the toxic shadows. And it's not your fault, guys. I want to just really stress that, because there is a thing called transgenerational trauma, or curses. I don't like to use the word curse, because I think that's a low vibration, because I don't believe there are curses. I believe there's negative energy, but I don't believe in like curses, because I don't believe in the power being taken away from me. But your parents have passed down, and the scarcity thing, think about it. Our parents and our grandparents, our parents went through the 70s, and that time of all the war, and then the grandparents went through the depression and all that. So a lot of times when you think about this, think about the stuff that's handed down, that are patterns in your family, especially like if you're a woman, look at your mom, look at what her things are, because guaranteed she passed her shadow down to you. So if there's a negative thought or emotion that you just can't kick, it's because it's like in your DNA. So that's when you start reflecting. And I tell people to reflect, like, why do I overeat? Okay, well, and I always tell them to go back, and you'll find it if you go back, and who's the first person in your life that broke your confidence with yourself with eating. And I can tell you, when my dad, he said, hey, should you be eating that bagel? You're gonna get fat. And I'm like, well, thanks. And so for the rest of my life, I'm like, I'm gonna get fat. And I got that programmed in my brain. So I like to let people know, our parents, their kids don't come with instruction manuals, and we all try to do the best that we can. And each generation is just another generation to make it better. But don't beat yourself up so much, because a lot of this stuff, if you're wondering, why is it so freaking hard? Well, because you got your stuff and you got two parent stuff. So you got two people's shadows and yours. That's three shadows that you're carrying around. And if you're not aware that it's a shadow, and you think it's just part of life, because I literally spent over 30 years, almost 40 years, because I'm 40, thinking that this is, I'm supposed to be like this. I'm not supposed to talk. I'm supposed to be aggressive. No, I'm not supposed to be any of this. I'm supposed to be love and light and happy and not have a worry in the world. But I learned certain things that happen to us when we're younger. Guess what? They really do affect you. So start reflecting on that and give yourself a break. I'm really happy to have you as my new co-host here. And since you are a writer, a new fun thing that we're going to do before we wrap up the shows is we're going to have Miss Keisha read one of her works, so she can share with you guys. And if you guys do enjoy her readings, she just started a new blog. It's called Keisha's Written Lyrics, and you can see her, you can go to her website. It's right up there. And go subscribe to her blog if you like it. But she's going to go ahead and read this, and turn it over to you.
This is a short piece that I wrote. I think this is like the basis for everything, especially for yourself. It is called Love. And it says, do I love her? 'Cause she loves me. She loves me. Do I love her? Does her love allow me to see me? Does LOVE her? Do I feel the letters welling up in my soul when she's near? Does her love allow me to love me? Does my love allow her to love her and surrender? How do you love such a person who knows the meaning of the word? Love me raw, love me still, love me real, love me enough to love. Feel LOVE.
That's awesome. And then this is your first time sharing, so hooray. I'm excited. She's got more coming and she's going to be getting a book published here soon. So we'll be looking all out for that. But you guys go and subscribe to her blog. And if anybody needs help, please reach out to us. You can email Keisha at kwrittenlyrics77@gmail.com, or you can email me at yourgrounded777 at gmail.com. But I'm really excited to have you as a new co-host. This will be fun. Please, you guys, leave your comments. There's an option on Anchor that you can leave a voice comment. I would love to hear your thoughts about this subject. I know that we're all stressing. I know there's a lot of people stressing over this, and like this is the number one thing women go through daily in their life. And I remember one morning that literally this is how I snapped out of it. Is one morning I was putting on my makeup and I was just having a bad negative thought morning. And my angels are funny. They literally, I watched a light bulb unscrew and then pop out and fly out on my counter. Yeah, craziest thing. My boyfriend wasn't watching at the same time. Like I would have never believed it didn't break, and it went on a tile counter. And I was like, well, maybe I should chill out on the bad thoughts. And after that, I really started examining my thoughts, because that was, my angels are like, we need to, like, seriously, what can we do? And that's what they'll do for you in your life. By the way, if they need you to just stop it. And that was my finally wake up call to be like, okay, I'm sorry. I'll start thinking better thoughts. But you know, just know that you don't have anything to prove except to yourself. So when it comes down to it, nobody will hold you back unless you let yourself hold you back, because the road's wide open. But if you choose to walk down it, would be another thing. But you know, we're here to help. Thank you so much for being here. I'm gonna go ahead and I want to say an affirmation to roll us out of here. I'm gonna go ahead and say a message with the angels. Dear angels, thank you so much for loving us and letting us know that we are beautiful, we are loved, and we are lovable. And there is nobody or nothing that we have to compete with to get your love, because love is always promised and it's always unconditional from the angels. Thank you, angels, for blessing us. And so it is. Well, there you have it, beautiful souls. Another powerful episode where we learned how to survive our swim in the toxic waters and break up with the toxic dance partner fear. If you're trying to find a new dance partner, please reach out to myself or Keisha and let us show you how a single 4-letter word can change your life. And that 4-letter word is love. With love, all things are possible. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Dancing in the Toxic Shadows. Until we meet again, this is Jess, Intuitive Angel Healer, sending healing angel vibes, love and light. Bye, guys.